All right, so
I promise I'm just not going to talk about boobs.
As you can see, folks, we're having a lively chat backstage. We're happy to see everybody. I see Lady Mist. I see Adega Outlaw. I see PJ in the chat. I see Toxic Man Flu. Wow, we already have a good turnout, and this is why I say I love you guys. We have a great chat every friggin' week. Angelus Draven's here. AD, how you doing, buddy? Hail. I am so happy to see everyone. And
can you change the boxes, Drew? That little option, make everyone's boxes a little smaller. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Bear will be back with us in a second. He is just refreshing, and
he's having technical difficulties.
We will have that, and hopefully Script Doctor will.
That's what nice women call it.
Yeah. Hopefully Script Doctor will wander back on in here, and here is Bear and Mikhail Wolf's in the house.
Hey,
well, hopefully we'll get DJ Odyssey hopping on in the chat soon. Tonight is all about fun, guys. We're Toxic Man Flu with a good comment already. If Drew could make boxes smaller, he'd be a rich player.
Yeah. For sure.
I love it.
Hey guys, can you share the stream? Can everybody who's in the chat share the stream on your Twitter? Just say, "Come on over, come on in, come have a good time." PJ, hi, Orville Nation.
Yeah, if you guys could get this out on social media, it'd be great. Hey, Mr. CCDB, how you doing? Great to see you. So tonight is a celebration of fun. We kind of want to take a look back at our first season, reviewing all the, season 1 of BSG, and kind of celebrate being together as a panel, because as we've gone this season, the panel has grown organically and turned into like this magical little family. Mm-hmm. And it's been amazing. And I can honestly say I can't be any more happy. It's not humanly possible to be happier with the people that we've gotten on this panel and the family that's turned into, and I personally, I just want to say, hey, Apollo Patriot, hail to you. I do want to say, to these awesome people that, I truly love them, and they really are like family. And, I am honored to have such great people on the panel. So, I just want to thank them for all the stuff that they do behind the scenes to make the show awesome, and all the insights that they offer every week, because it's been great. It really has been magical. So I'm happy with that. And we got screen share from Steven. What are we sharing, buddy?
Shout out to Lady Mist. Shout out to the whole chat. Welcome, everyone.
Oh, yeah. Hey, look, it's Boxey.
What happened to Boxey?
I'm not sure if we found him.
Didn't he go kaplooey?
We don't know.
We don't
know, Bear. That's the question. That's what we've been trying to figure out all season long as a community.
Yeah.
I honestly think Script Doctor fell asleep. I really do.
Or maybe one of his infamous neighbors came and knocked on his door again, and now he's quote unquote talking with the neighbor.
He has a girlfriend. He'd be talking with his girlfriend.
I was going to say.
Well, I think that is his neighbor. I think that's what's going on there.
You think he's banging the neighbor?
What I'm saying.
Hey, Mikhail, my logo is neon. I ran it through an app, and all of a sudden, it's like a neon sign lighting up. The only difference is
Bear.
Bear's Bar and Grill.
yeah, Bear's Bar and Grill in Vegas. The Vegas show now.
Oh man, so So yeah, we're gonna definitely. I know we'll get into some Boxey theories once hopefully Odyssey shows up. Kind of waiting on Palanuki to show up too. I'm wondering if he's gonna make his way in here. But yeah, we're definitely gonna do that. At some point, we're gonna invite Adega on the panel because he has been instrumental in the Boxey theories from the jump, and then we'll have DJ as well once DJ shows up, and we'll get that going.
DJ and that perfect handlebar mustache. No one wears it better.
Yeah, exactly.
DJ, I think Hogan 83.
Hi, Lady Mist. Yeah, Mr. CCDB says all you gotta do is make it flash. That would be interesting if he could do that, CC. That would be interesting. If he
Hey,
could.
Drew.
Bear? Don't flash anybody, Bear.
Yeah.
Regardless of
Drew,
what the chat tells you.
Have you heard the news, Drew?
Have I heard what now?
Have you heard the news?
What's that?
Waldo's been found, man. He's got nowhere to hide.
Who, Boxey?
No, Waldo. He's been found.
Oh, man. Well, hey, Waldo can get found, but Boxey still can't get found.
Nope. Waldo standing in the middle of an empty street. Have you seen the meme?
Yes. All right. So, Raquel, why don't we take a look back at this past season of the Pegasus Actual Podcast, and let's talk about what exactly has our journey been like. And I have a very apropos title for the stream tonight: the Ragtag Fugitive Panel, and that's exactly what we've been. So go ahead and lead us in.
We got a lot of ground to cover, and I just wanted to be able to jog everybody's memory. And I also want to make sure that our listenership and our audience is able to remember what's happening so that they can keep a pace with what we're discussing. I mean, we have a lot of episodes to go through tonight, and then we're probably going to apply them to Boxey. So let's refresh. Let's just refresh our memories. So we start off with episode 33, right? That's what it's called. It's episode 1.
One of the best shows in the whole season is 33.
Yeah, we all agreed that was definitely one of our favorites of the season.
Yeah, so the Galactica and the other remaining ships, with about 50,000 people on board, are being hunted down by the Cylons. The fleet of survivors must collectively jump into hyperspace, or FTL, every 33 minutes to avoid being wiped out. For reasons we do not know, the Cylons are able to track and trace the fleet everywhere they go, relentlessly and precisely, every 33 minutes. The crew, the military team, aboard Galactica, has gone 130 hours without sleep. Everyone, civilians and those in service, they're all at their breaking point, physically, emotionally, and mentally. The fleet celebrates when, inexplicably, a final jump manages to shake the Cylon pursuit. The celebration is short-lived, as they realize a civilian ship of 1,300 passengers has been left behind. Joy turns to conversations about impossible choices and impossible ethics. Do they go back and rescue the Olympic carrier and endanger the entire fleet? Discuss.
I thought that 33 was just absolutely breathtaking as far as perfectly paced, perfect introduction. The ticking clock was brilliant. I just thought that was like a 10 across the board with the conflicts and everything else, and it just set the pace for everything beautifully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. We have in com theory, we have a theorist, his name is Theodore Adorno, and he actually criticizes popular culture because he says it's very formulaic. And our belief is never actually suspended, and we know no one is actually ever in danger. So although we feel suspense, it's not really suspense. We know everyone's going to be okay. Well, you can't really say that about this show. At least I feel that you can't. I sort of feel like the suspense and the danger could be real. There's such a heightened sense of I don't know, the pace of the show, the dialogue, the darkness, just the way that it's written. I find it really compelling, and I think that it challenges Adorno's theory that popular culture and popular TV and film doesn't actually scare you. I think this does. I think that this, you feel the suspense, and you're relieved. You're totally relieved for everyone involved. So much tension is created.
Yeah, and PJ concurs. He says 33 is a great classic sci-fi episode. Absolutely. And he also had a message for you, Raquel. Raquel is the co-hostess with the mostest.
Oh, that's so kind of you. Thank you so much. Thank you, PJ.
PJ is a great guy. He's always giving a reach around. I think somebody that can't connect with material, the creativity that was involved in this show from the jump, from the direction that they had, along with the wonderful acting. And I've said this many times, the veteran actors seem to have picked up some of the weight of this series and lent their strength to a lot of the newer actors. Everybody just knocked it out of the park. Ronald V. Moore did a great job of writing this entire series out. And starting off with 33 proper, the very first episode, not the miniseries. Miniseries was great too. But starting off with 33, you just have this sense of urgency, this sense of rush, and to not feel any kind of peril. I can't see I can't see a lover of science fiction and story being so disconnected as to not feel peril from this story, because of how well written it is and how reflective it is of real human emotions, real human responses, which is another reason why I love this series as much as I do. What about you there?
Well, I like the obvious love of the craft when the new actors and the more experienced actors are working together, and you can see that they love what they're doing. That's what I like about it, because there isn't a lot of that around anymore in TV shows.
Well, they're also allowed to be more human in that time as compared to now. Sexy, for instance, one of my favorite subjects. Sexy translates through in so many different ways with the women characters. Some of them projected through physical beauty. Some of them are projected through strength of character, through their actions. You have ladies of various ages, and I'm speaking on just the ladies because I'm a guy. I'm a heterosexual guy. Sorry, the guys did a great job too. But the ladies, you had different age groups in this show and different positions of power, all projecting strength, intelligence, charisma, making hard choices. All of these different aspects of what strong femininity can be. I mean, that's one of the things. I don't think you could do that today. You'd get criticized to hell today for doing something like that.
Yeah. I do want to really quick give a couple of shout outs to the chat. Hail to Speaker for the Dead. Hail to Mar Krell. Hey, what's going on, Mar? It's good to see you. And I got to give Palanuki a special welcome. It's great to see Palanuki in here.
Thank you.
Palanuki, you dude are awesome. And some news, personal news for Palanuki. He is officially the first writer that I brought on board for sickestofall.com.
Oh, really?
And he is
awesome.
He is our anime and manga correspondent. So
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, Palanuki.
I'm going to be working with you now, Palanuki, and that way you can tell me in DMs what a shit writer I am. I got a lot of that this week.
I don't think anybody would ever say that to you.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You're an intelligent and articulate person. I don't think that would ever happen. But yeah, so you guys, 33 is just an adrenaline ride, but it's an intelligent adrenaline ride. And what a way to open a show. If you've never watched Battlestar Galactica before, this has got you. And you'll be immersed immediately, and you'll want more. You'll be jonesing.
Agreed.
Yeah,
it's one of those shows. It's a science fiction Tiger King, guys. If you haven't seen it,
it really is.
All right, you watch the first episode of Tiger King. You need to see more. You've got to see this train wreck unfold. But it's the opposite of that. It's science fiction. It's a train wreck that's happening in space, and the characters are so well done that they act as people you would meet in real life in that fictional situation.
Yeah, and so you care, and you genuinely care.
Dude, Stephen and Dagan just fried you, buddy. He said, "Oh, Stephen, I can trash talk you anytime you like."
Absolutely, Dagan.
No.
Standing behind me, lovingly. Thanks, buddy.
Oh man, what's Snow Dub say? They go bring you the back kisses. Yep. There you
Any
go.
thoughts from the chat on 33? Anything that stands out to anyone? Something that you think that we didn't touch upon that you think is really important, crucial to 33, or something that really struck you? What did you love the most about this episode?
Yeah, what did you guys think of 33?
Orville Nation said he was a great classic sci-fi episode. Have to agree.
Orville Nation summed it up well, but what's your thoughts, Lady Mist, and everybody else in the chat? What did you guys think of 33? And then we're gonna move on to water here in like a half second.
And while they're deciding that, I'm gonna say that I didn't see Boxey in 33. Was Boxey in 33?
Yes, he was.
He was.
He was.
Briefly.
Where was he? Does anybody remember?
There was a scene.
Well, apparently.
Yeah, a scene.
Yeah.
I don't like that they didn't get Boxey that much.
He's one of the children Sharon.
Oh, that's right.
Right?
That's right. Yes, in the beginning. That's why Hilo was on Caprica, right? Was that it?
He appears in Bastille Day and Water.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
And the scene in Water was deleted.
Yeah.
Oh, bastards.
Brian talked about that, remember?
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
I miss Brian.
Yeah.
But not anywhere near the old Boxey, right? The old Boxey, the one from my childhood, Noah Hathaway, the one who became Atreyu in the Neverending Story.
Atreyu, yeah, you're right. I didn't even know that. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, he was. I was a kid when I was watching Star Galactica. As a matter of fact, Noah and I are the same age, and so it's just I remember that cute little boy with his the one that Bear put up. That photograph, that's the boy I remember, and his robot dog because his puppy died.
Yeah. So that was this Battlestar's box.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's the old Boxey.
There's the old Boxey, and then the new Boxey is Connor Widows.
Yeah.
So a little bit older in the 78 series, right? A little bit older than him.
Yeah, he's a little bit older than this one.
Yeah, he's like 10 or 11 years old.
Speaker for the Dead says, I have a confession. I have only ever seen the first episode, and I couldn't get past Starbucks being a girl. I love the old Battlestar, so can you convince me I need to give this another chance? I mean, as Speaker for the Dead, all I can say is this. If you can, just open your mind to it and watch it as just a sci-fi show, I think you'll enjoy it. It's hard for some people, and I know this because at the time when Battlestar aired, I ran the third biggest Battlestar Galactica online community. It was obviously, and that's what the podcast is lovingly named after. At the time, it was PegasusActual.com, and we had a lot of people on there that on our forums that were TOS fans that watched the show, and once they watched the first few episodes, they were really into it. But the way that they had to come about it, that brought them around, was they were in your position, Speaker. They were really kind of skeptical at first because of Starbuck being a woman, because of Boomer being a woman.
It wasn't just that. It was also the presentation, speaker. Actually, before I put the Fandom Menace Volume 1 together, I was speaking with another writer in the community, Ichibaka, who came from that perspective of, I don't want to like this because, and then he gave me the information that to understand what was going on at the time, and some references. So like I get it. What happened at that time? We were promised a TOS, not reimagining, but an extension of it. They never reached Earth. Yeah. Apollo is the commander now, and we go forward from that. Yeah. And so. And it's a shame what happened. It's a shame that almost, I'm sure, like right now with what we're going through, a lot of projects have been canceled. Just like 9/11 was the reason that we didn't get that reimagined POS. It's a shame that happened. This reimagining, the characters are written with such care. I understand that when it first came out, there were a lot of people out there white knighting. There was simp-like behavior happening, back in that time, and that the media tried to spin a narrative that the fans were sexist if they didn't like the gender swap and revisioning of those characters. I get all that.
The media back then were they
were starting trouble like they did with Ahmed Best. The media creates a lot of different fights. Sure.
The media back then were the SJWs, because at the time we didn't have the SJWs permeating our fandoms the way they are now. So the media acted very much as the SJWs of that time. Right. And so what happened was, there was obviously a lot of negative spin on things, and it made the TOS community also feel unwelcome. And I always thought that it shortchanged them, because the TOS people, by and large, especially the ones that had joined our discussion forums, when they watched a few episodes, they realized that, hey, this new iteration of Galactica is pretty darn good. The casting's done well, and the world building is off the charts. See, there's one important thing, Speaker, that I can explain to you that will really intrigue you to watch this show, and that is the world building. Because if there was one thing that I think where TOS Galactica fell short, was the world building. They didn't have they had a lot of elements, but they fell short in actually building a universe, building a world. Yes. In this show, with it being 4 seasons and the way that the show is written and everything, they built a world perfectly. So much so. Hang on, Stephen. Just let me finish this thought. They built it so much so that now, you've got all these years later, a video game that stands on its own. You've got Battlestar Galactica Deadlock. You've had multiple projects. You had Blood and Chrome. You had Caprica, even though Caprica didn't really hit the mark, but the world supported it. The lore and the world building supported it. And that's what's important to remember. And if they get around to doing the upcoming project that they have in mind, this new Battlestar, whenever that gets done, is going to continue on in this world that has already been established and built. And that's something old Battlestar really couldn't say.
If Glenn Larson had been allowed to execute his vision completely, then we would have had this then. We would have had a several-year arc with mini movies, with storylines and story arcs that extend over seasons. This is what we should have gotten. But again, the travesty seems to follow this series because the Camp David Accords interfered with the first season, with the very first episode of the first season of the first show, the Glenn Larson show. There was a lot of, if that show had been allowed to continue the way that he saw it, we would have gotten this. Ronald Moore and the people that picked up and tried to do what Glenn did it. They gave us several seasons with characters that are well fleshed out, well developed, story arcs that can go from the first episode to the last episode. It was just a beautifully acted, beautifully written. The people in the production cared about what they were producing. So look, my advice, speaker, would be just binge watch the first season. It's for free on Sci-Fi if you're in the States, and just binge watch the first season and let us know what you think.
Speaking of the dead, I'd like to give you my pitch, and that is, I also love strong female characters, and I'm also against the gender swap. I don't like it, and part of the reason is I'm a social scientist. I study comm theory, and I'm a writer. And I don't believe that you can just swap out a gender and that it's the same thing. I don't think that a woman has to behave identical to a man in order to be considered equal. I believe that feminism is just when men and women are equal under the law. And equal does not mean same. And so, I think that a lot of people who are doing this swapping thing need to check their dictionary. But I will say this, I never watched Supergirl because I'm not interested in watching Supergirl. Superman was invented in Canada, I believe, by a journalist, and I absolutely love Superman. What got me with Battlestar Galactica is that a whole bunch of nerds that I know, not geeks, not the people that just go to the cons and buy t-shirts and do modeling, actual nerds came to me and said, you would not believe the world building of this show. And they have shown so much respect for the series by calling it a reimagining. This wasn't a reboot. This wasn't a recast. This wasn't a gender swap. This was writers coming forward and saying, let's reimagine it in a new way. Let's bring it forward. Let's make it a little edgier. Let's make it a little darker. Let's play with some ideas. And for me, showing that level of respect for intellectual property and for an idea and for a story made me go, okay, I'm going to give this a try. So my recommendation to you is the same appeal that I got from my nerd community, which was the writing is so good. The world building is so good, and nobody is swapping anything out. They're reimagining it. I'm currently reading a book called Trek's Not Taken, and it sort of does the same thing. It takes a beautiful product and redoes it respectfully, never trying to detract or subtract or minus anything from the original product. And I think that reimagined Battlestar Galactica achieves that in name, in design, and in execution. So, it's not trying to replace Battlestar Galactica proper, and keep that in mind when you're giving it a chance. I sure did, and I'm very glad that I did.
Yeah, because when you watch it, you can see the layers in the writing, and that I think is what's awesome to me. What sticks out is the layers. The layers in the world building was what got me. After a while, it's like due to the depth of the characters, the gender swap didn't bother me one bit. I was iffy about it at first. I wasn't as I didn't have as much pushback or preconceived notions going in as some of the TOS fans, and I grew up on TOS as well, and I really liked it. I remember when I was a kid, I loved to watch the dynamic between Apollo and Starbuck. I was like, I loved how they were buddies and everything. And that was awesome. Yeah. But as I watched the show, man, the miniseries, even watching the miniseries, I was still on the fence. I was iffy. And then it debuted on Sci-Fi Channel, and I watched 33, and man, I was hooked, guys. And that's how it got me. And that's what I'm saying. If you give it a chance now, speaker, I think you're going to be very impressed.
Yeah, just remove all the politics from it. Just remove all of the politics, because believe me, I believe in women, and I believe in strong women care. I believe so to Speaker, because he said that twice now in the chat. This has nothing to do with politics, but it's very important for us to realize that
Right.
politics can't always be a part of art. I don't want to ever see author Stephen Walton playing Jane Eyre. Some things I just don't want to gender swap. I just don't. I would like it if women characters were written for women and male characters were written for men, and that we had a very dynamic and rich way of writing about them. When you gender swap, all you're doing is assigning a male character his personality, the things he loves, who he's all about, and you're just plopping that on a woman as though it's a sexual cloak, and women and men aren't that simple. We're not there is a huge spectrum of behavior in women. Some of us are little and feminine on one side of the spectrum, and then some of us are bigger girls, taller girls, strong girls who are very masculine. No one is saying that's a bad thing. We love that. We embrace that. That's our whole point. But this idea of mindlessly chopping off like paper dolls one head for another head just doesn't work in all incidences. Sometimes it feels very forced, it feels very contrived, and I'm sorry, in many respects it feels disrespectful, like the girls on Picard. I don't think that it's progressive for a woman to be automatically violent and castigating and chiding. Women are dynamic. We're all different shapes and sizes and personalities. That's my only point. Okay?
Shut the F up should never, ever have been a Star Trek quote. And you don't get that kind of lazy writing, that complete disconnect from what the audience, from the fan base and the creatives, with this iteration of Battlestar. And understand, if the Starbuck issue is something that really gnaws at you, understand that Katie Sackhoff wasn't trying to do an imitation of Dirk Benedict.
No.
And other than a few callback basic traits, her sexual charisma, her strength, the cigars, the poker, or whatever they called it. Other than a few callbacks to the original, which is honoring that character, not disrespecting him. That's right. Katie Sackhoff's car race is completely different than Starbuck from the original. I know that's a big bone of contention for a lot of TOS fans, and I totally get it. But as I said, if you watch this entire first season and you're not hooked, then you're not. Then it's just not for you. But if you, in a day and age where we have a Star Wars trilogy that is just a complete disheveled, it's horrible socio-political platform using mess, you look at a series like this and you really appreciate what creatives, what you could tell. You could tell that what they were worried about was telling a good story, was honoring material, and giving something to the fan base.
Yeah, Murphy Brown is a woman. Little Red Riding Hood is a woman. You can't just swap it out. But I will say this, for this series, for all the naysayers, not only do I completely agree with Stephen, but you have to think about the thoughtfulness of putting the word reimagined in it. It is so wonderful when you go to the wikis and you go to all the places where people are talking about Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Always the preface is reimagined.
Well, and that's because this
is another adventure, and it's so respectful.
Right.
I love it.
The way that they did it, the way that they constructed this, the lore in this series, they're not saying that the original didn't happen. They're not saying that at all. They're saying that actually, if anything, they reinforce that did happen.
Yes.
That what has come before will happen again. If there's just a running theme, that this is a cycle, which even sets it up for future iterations if they want to go that route.
Yeah, we could go back to men the next time, because that it's just, well, not that the series is all men. As a matter of fact, I find this version to be perfectly balanced. And I will tell you, I love the way that women are represented on this show. You've got women who are strong. You've got women who are insufferable. You've got women who are castigating. You've got women who are gentle and kind. You've got women who are brilliant. You've got older women in highly sexualized, wonderful, beautiful relationships.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so dynamic. Nobody is some little dumb finger puppet or paper doll where you could just paste this idea on them and hope they can hold the politics. These are characters that you imagine are real. They're so powerfully and thoroughly and wonderfully and lovingly written. Well, no one thinks of the children.
God,
it's a little ironic.
Yeah.
Loki said we all want good stories and well-written characters. We want people that care about the IP as much as we do. Not too much to ask.
That's right.
Loki, you are spot on as always, my man.
Hail Loki.
And hail to you, Stone Loki. It's good to have you in here, man. Another one of our Boxey theory heroes. Man, you know, CCDB's got some. We got people stepping up with the Boxey theories, man, especially from last week. So, you know, I want to see those popping in the chat, guys. By the way, so I'm just waiting here for those. But yeah, all right, let's move on to water. Let's do a quick.
Wow, did you guys ever imagine that in the season wrap up we would do like a full defense of the show and do a pretty good job of it?
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Well, that just means that our conversations are bringing people interest. And really, I mean, I think the whole reason that Drew, if I can infer, started this was because we're lacking such good entertainment right now. People are more interested in pushing their own beliefs instead of being dedicated to source material. And when they do create their own original work, which thank God some of them have, we get Safe Space and Snowflake. Look, this was done in a time when the media were the enemy, all right? When the media started the confrontation between Ahmed Best and the original Phantom Menace, you know, from the Phantom Menace. You know, the media starts this. The media got involved and started inflating some of the things that were going on between the TOS fan base and the new show, to where some of the cast and crew did what friends do: protect each other, come and make comments, you know, and unfortunately some of them fell into that narrative that the media was pushing, but a lot of them did not. The real crime involved with the reimagining of the show, the real crime is the TOS fan base that were promised something that they never got, that were so close to getting it. They were putting together stages for that show. Like they were putting together costumes. They had original actors on deck ready to play these parts, and then it fell apart. That breaks my heart to understand what that did with the TOS fans. I get it.
I'm a TOS fan.
Get it. I am as well. I am as well. But I mean, I'm young enough that I remember seeing the reruns, and I remember it being a thing, but it didn't mean as much to me as Star Trek did. Star Trek means everything to me. But I mean, when you come today, if you just look back, if you can set aside the pain, if you can if any of you guys are out there, you TOS fans, if you can just sit down those bricks for a few minutes and watch this first season of this show, you will understand that Ronald D. Moore and the people that he put in position to create this series were trying to honor Glenn Larson. Yes, there's gender swaps. There's it's definitely a reimagining, but they were trying to honor what he was originally trying to build. And as I said, if Glenn Larson had been allowed to execute his vision in full, we would have gotten this series starting back in the 70s. We would have gotten this type of wonderful, creative, interconnecting story. And give it a shot. One season, give it a shot. You're going to be hooked.
All right.
Okay, I remember growing up as a kid watching Battlestar Galactica, watching
the original series,
Buck Rogers, all those good shows.
Buck Rogers was the best.
Now, I like the 80s Battlestar Galactica, but I wasn't really that thrilled with it. It wasn't as good, and a lot of people really hated it, and it was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of those things that stayed with people as an impression.
Yeah, but I like what Steven said about how inside of the story, it is very clear that they keep saying, this is a cycle. It will happen again and again. And when you have respect for the intellectual property and you are saying that it's a reimagining, you're opening the door to have different versions of story, and you can shuffle the characters as though you're shuffling a deck, because you're playing with the ideas and you're playing with the danger in the story in different ways. And I think that's brilliant, because it allows us to keep this story alive. We could have 10 more versions of this, and all the characters could be scrambled or shuffled like a deck of cards, and we can just keep on enjoying this wonderful, wonderful story and never, ever let it die. It's just brilliant to say, yeah, we're going to keep doing this. It's great.
Right. So we got our first Boxey theory of the night, courtesy of Toxic Man Flu. Boxey was going through gender reassignment procedures and was constantly in sickbay.
Do you think
That's where he was.
Yeah? Doc Cottle was turning the hot dog into a canyon, huh? All right.
Palanuki said, this stream is needed because for me, I needed to talk about good shows instead of just complaining about bad ones, even if it's justified to do so.
Yeah, brother.
Palanuki, you are spot on, my man.
Well said. Yep.
Yeah.
Well said. Okay, gentlemen, let's move on.
Hold on. Speaker for the Dead says, thanks for your words. I feel the passion. That tells me a lot about what this show really is. I will give it another try.
Awesome, Speaker. When you're done binging the first season, come back, let us know what you think.
Yeah.
I'd be very interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I want to hear your take on it, Speaker, definitely.
What?
Okay, guys, 40 minutes in, we gotta keep going.
I know, I'm sorry, Raquel.
Theory, the cake is alive. Boxy's bitch ass ate it. Kid must have been hungry. Hashtag.
Oh.
And then
that
that was from Stone Loki. Okay, this one's from Stone Loki. Make sure somebody grab that one.
Yeah, the cake. Cake is a lie. That one's going in my top 10 list.
Okay.
It's a lie. Thank you. Thank you for backing up on that one. Go ahead.
All right. Adega says the child is a lie. There's only Boxy.
Oh.
Through Boxy, I gained strength. Through Boxy's strength, I gained power. Through Boxy's power, I gained victory.
Jesus.
Oh boy.
Boxy code.
Adega turned the Sith code into the Boxy code.
Oh boy.
This is why we need you, Outlaw.
Oh my gosh, Adega. Good Lord.
All right, let's let Raquel move forward because we are on episode 1.
42 minutes in. Okay, Water is episode 2. President Rosalind arrives on Galactica as Boomer's Cylon programming initiates. Tortured by the choice. I will. Okay, what's going on? What's so funny? Through victory, my balls are broken. The dang run kicked me in the nuts. You should have said Nards. Nards would have been much funner. Nards, right? Okay.
I can't with a digger.
Gentlemen, seriously, we're 43 minutes into the show. Let's get off the first episode.
Oh, Adega describes on this, man. The audience loves derailing us. That's what
they do. They enjoy it.
And that's hey, look, it's all good.
Yeah. So if you liked that one, folks, make sure that you keep a little note on that, because we're going to have a Boxey theory off at the end of the show today. We want to see who gets how many votes on this and that and the other. So make a note of the ones you really like. So far, my top is Cake is a lie. Water, episode 2. President Rosalind arrives on Galactica as Boomer's Cylon programming initiates. Holy crap, good thing I wasn't taking a sip of whiskey.
Yeah, no doubt.
Tortured by the choice that she has. Okay? Focus, man. Focus.
The chat is on fire right now.
My screen is covered in whiskey. That's great, guys. Great.
Oh my gosh, the chat is just on fire. Oh.
Okay, so Boomer sabotages the fleet's entire water supply. He plants a bunch of bombs. It blows the entire hull out the side of Galactica. They lose 60% of their water reserves out into open space. The old man implements water rationing on every ship. They begin to search nearby systems for water sources. Shoot. Talk. Do we have any Boxey theories for this one?
No, I think this was early. This was too early. This is before the Boxey theories began.
Okay, so Bastille Day. This is when Boxey makes his appearance.
Hold on.
Boxey theory.
Boxey security called to the mess hall. Someone ate all of Commander Adama's Rocky Road ice cream. Only evidence is a pair of tidy whitey. Fast back, Boxey. Toxic man flu test.
I'm nearly 50. I grew up totally watching Adama, Edward James Olmos on Miami Vice. And the fact that somebody just said that he eats Rocky Road ice cream when he's like the captain of all these drug detectives is just hysterical to me. Anyway.
Were those Boxey's balls after they got chopped from the
Ow.
Mr. CCDB Boomer, he said, why did Boomer blow the hole?
To get to the other side.
Chief wasn't enough, so she blew the whole hole.
Said Boxey's black market water sources.
Yeah, we did go back. There was a few Boxey theories about him destroying the hole.
Yeah. Oh, God.
There was.
I'm crying right now. Oh my God.
Oh, go ahead, Raquel. Go ahead, sweetie.
Okay, Bastille Day, guys. Episode 3. Sorely lacking in manpower, it's collectively agreed that the 1,000 prisoners in the fleet who have been on the prison transport ship this whole time will be asked to volunteer to mine and collect the water Boomer found on a planet. It's in ice form and it needs to be processed for human consumption. The relief of finding this water source is soon destroyed as the meeting with the prisoners turns into a violent hostage taking. We are introduced to the political prisoner who some call a terrorist, Tom Zarek, who was incidentally played by Richard Hatch.
Yes.
Original gangster Apollo.
Yes.
And you know what?
Series commence.
That was such a brilliant way to introduce Richard Hatch into
Yes. I'm sorry.
And I want to kind of frame the behind the scenes thing for the chat here. So Richard Hatch actually went to Ron Moore. They had a meeting. They talked, and when he showed Richard Hatch the script and expressed to him that he was interested in him playing the Tom Zarek character, Richard Hatch was on board. And Richard Hatch actually was quite instrumental in some of the elements, along with the writing team of later seasons.
Oh well, Richard was also a big proponent of the series coming, the TOS series coming back. He was down.
I dig him.
And a lot of, and I'll get to those in a second.
Oh, it's so bad. So bad. That's terrible. That is a terrible joke.
But the thing,
that's awful.
I can't catch it.
I can't unread it. I need to scrub it from my mind with soap.
Michael Wolf says, I just can't stop laughing from the comments. Only just starting episode 2 in 45 minutes. Boxey was quite popular on the prison ship. He was the soap boy.
That's truly sick.
Toxic Man Flu said, so Boxey was bottom bitch on the prison ship?
Guys, he's 11 years old.
Well,
sorry,
in this series, he was more like 13, 14, but yeah, that's bad. It's still funny.
It's not good.
But the thing is so Richard was actually instrumental in this series, and once a lot of the And once a lot of the fans found out that Richard was on board, that also helped. That was the first instance where it really started to kind of help temper some of the TOS fans that figured if Richard can embrace it, then we can embrace it.
Mm-hmm. I think I like what Steven said too. It was done so respectfully. Like it was like it showed instant respect, and I think that that's a huge part of it. For me, I was just blown away that he still looked good, because there was a whole herd of girls who liked David Cassidy and Sean Cassidy, and then there was a whole herd of girls who really liked Richard Hatch. And when I was young, I thought Richard Hatch was hot. Right, so when
he was a heartthrob back then. Yeah,
yes, he had perfect hair. I was just like, look, Richard Hatch is back.
Hey, little thing about Richard Hatch. He played in a movie called Jan and Dean.
Yep.
And the character he played got in a really bad accident. I believe it was 55 Corvette.
He was in a soap opera too.
Oh, he was? Wow. Yeah, I love that movie about Jan and Dean. Great movie. If you've never seen it, watch it. It's good.
Boxey never dropped the soap, says Mr. CCTV.
Oh, it's so bad, you guys. Stop with the pedophilia. It's terrible.
Speaker for the Dead says, just don't use the soap from the prison to wash your mind.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of earlier, Speaker for the Dead. But no, you talk about the TOS, and then hold it. Oh no. I hope this video gets sanctioned. This is
we're going to hell.
So bad.
Oh my God. Somebody bring the lawn chairs on our way to hell, chat.
Yeah, seriously. Circling.
Spot by the lake of fire.
Yeah.
Bring in the grill.
Yeah, but anyways, when I first started on this show, the guys said to me, do you think anybody is attractive on this show? And I said, no. But so if you want to ask me who I actually thought was hot, in TOS, I thought Hatch was pretty hot.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
There's in this episode was great seeing our old Apollo again. That was wonderful. Seeing Richard Hatch be involved, especially after researching what had happened and getting a full understanding of how the show developed. But there was another scene that was very poignant in this episode. Something I don't know if they would do today the way they did, and that was where the one prisoner tried to take advantage of Callie, and she got shot. Yeah. Biting his ear off because he was trying to and I thought that, until this point, Callie had always been presented as that weak little mousy, someone that you would expect would be a victim, not of some kind of an assault like that and not fight back. No, not Callie. She bit dude's ear off and got shot because he tried to take it.
It was also like a Triskelion moment from the original Star Trek, right? Because at first she cries out, so we know that he's initiated some type of rape sequence, right. And she was having none of it. So she did what Uhura did and took charge and scratched his face, but. Right. But unlike Uhura, she was like, "No, dude, I'm pulling in a Vander Holyfield and I'm taking your ear."
Yeah.
No, that was Mike Tyson on.
That was Mike Tyson. Yeah. It was so great. And you also got to see Kara. You also got to see Kara, different side of her. Being a sniper. Just the entire sequence. Also, Lee. You also find out that character isn't just this military drone. He has thoughts outside the military. The implications of different military decisions is just enough. One of my favorite episodes. I think after 33, that is probably my most favorite episode.
It's a gooder. Okay, Boxey theories, Drew.
Boxey theory: box of MREs missing from Cargo Bay 5. Video of streaker assaulting mess hall cook on the hallway cam taken to security. Coincidence, or are they tied together? Hashtag feed Boxey. Boxing man flu. Boxey was working on his pipe cleaning badge in Space Scouts.
Okay. Smoking ambrosia? I didn't know you could smoke ambrosia.
Ice water.
I'm so shocked that they said ambrosia, because you would think that they would choose ichor, but yeah. Anyway.
Well, it's
ambrosia, not a good thing.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I
Mhm.
understand that modern people,
Much more. It's well known I mean, it's not well known, but I think it's something that's recognizable to people
yes,
with
that's what I
the
mean.
theme
Yeah,
that they were going with.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh man, Colonial News Alert: MREs in short supply. In other news, be on the lookout for a fat kid in tidy whities. Oh jeez. Loki, Mr. CCDB said, "My buddy's in the marshes. He's crawling on his knees. When he wasn't looking, I stole his MRE."
The universes that are created in our chat.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, good lord. Oh,
All right. Anybody else have any more comments on this wonderful episode?
no,
As
Bastille
long as
Day.
they don't have anything to do with children in that way, please. Like, really?
Bastille Day is it was an awesome episode.
It's great.
I love the introduction to Tom Zarek. And so we go into episode 4, which is active conversion. And go ahead, Raquel.
Ooh, we have a very good comment. Just before we get to that, I'd like to get to this comment because I sure love it. Because we spoke about this a couple of times on the show. This idea that you were born as a replacement. Look at what Toxic Man Flu has just put on the chat. What sucks is that with 50K people and constantly under attack, you should have seen the children being constantly groomed for military service. We didn't see much of that. I would tend to disagree. Yeah. I thought that new crop that we see later on that Kara Thrace is grooming to be pilots. Wow, like they were too young for acne.
Yeah, Toxic. Raquel's got a good point. They if you pay attention to that episode, to episode 4 of season 1, you'll see like the Nuggets when they're there and they're getting trained. They're super young.
I think what toxic means is like teenagers, like 15, 14, being groomed for service. And I think I understand where Toxic Man Flu's coming from, but they had limited resources at their disposal for training in the first place. Yeah. And I think that first group of Nuggets that they brought in, the ones with just like minimal flight experience, that was the best option they had. They really didn't have the facilities that they would require or the space to bring in crops of, 15, 16-year-olds and train them for military service or supporting services.
And Adama says as much, but they were definitely Happy Meal chicken nuggets. Those weren't just, golden nuggets. Those were Happy Meal chicken nuggets. They were like little kids. You know what I mean? Like it took my breath away when I saw them. I was like, wow, they're pretty young. I was struck by this replacement idea. It's very, very sad. Anyway, Toxic Man.
They were teens.
Great comment.
Yeah, that's a great comment.
That was awesome.
I love that thought-provoking stuff where you engage the story. I think that's absolutely wonderful. Love that comment. Okay, gentlemen, shall we keep going?
Sure.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay, Active Contrition, episode 4. The crew organized a party on the flight deck of Galactica to haze Flat Top's 1000th landing. During the hoopla, a strap comes loose on a drone. It falls off the ammo rack and flies into the celebrating pilots. It explodes. 13 pilots are killed. Kara experiences flashbacks of her dead fiance, who just happens to be Zach Adama. Mm-hmm. This is exacerbated when the old man asks her to train a new batch of pilots. She is tortured by guilt, believing Zach died because she passed him in flight school, and only because they were sleeping together and were going to get married. This seems unlikely given Zach's pedigree, but the guilt and self-loathing persist until Kara refuses to teach after conducting just a single class. And Boxey Theories, go!
One thing I really enjoyed about that episode, again, the world building that's going on in this series. You have 33, which is really rushed, and all the way up into the last episode, which is, again, showing lack of resources and manpower. And then you come to this episode, and things are wearing down. This episode is about realizing how much strain everyone is under, the different breaks that are going on, both mentally and emotionally through Kara Thrace and remembering Zach, but also in the ship. with the strap breaking and those pilots getting killed. It's hard to manage all of these things going on, especially in an aging ship that was going to be put in mothballs anyway. It was about to be decommissioned, the Battlestar Galactica, and so all of these, the material, all of the people, everything is very worn. And in some cases worn out. And here they are having a celebration, finally having 5 minutes to celebrate something. And the wear and tear on this ship, again, it kills 13 pilots. And I think the symbolism of this episode was very well done. I love this whole series, but this one in particular.
It's funny that you should say that, because I actually had that in my notes about how this show is chock full of serious and ingrained and beautifully delicate and powerful themes and illusions.
Did
And
you see what?
I thought that the fatigue was material as well as theoretical. So you could see the fatigue on the ship and on the people. It's amazing that you said it almost exactly how I thought it, Stephen.
Well, thank you very much.
Do you see what Mr. CCDB said?
No.
I mean, he kind of like summed it up super well for this episode. After that drone accident, he said PTSD cannot be quantified. This episode dealt with it well.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Well, but that's a great comment. And it's very true. It plays into how much pressure these people are under, the conditions, the wear and tear mentally, emotionally, and physically, and as far as the equipment going on around them. It's a very telling episode, and it did deal with it in a great way. The storytelling, bar none, compared to anything it's in today's entertainment, they don't even hold a candle to how well written this series was.
Yeah, I absolutely love this episode. It was an extremely powerful episode, and it was just so well written. And I feel so. I'm getting to know Kara now. I'm getting to know this Starbuck in a completely different way. I'm starting to understand what makes this Starbuck tick, and why this Starbuck, this version of Starbuck, is so complicated and so racked with guilt.
And not a Mary Sue before the Mary Sue episode.
Oh,
Hey,
no.
I'll admit I wasn't immediately won over by Starbuck. I think it was the third or fourth episode where I'm like, okay.
Right.
That's a good point, Barry.
You know?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, they hit you with that. Like, you really get attached to this character, and then the Raider episode, which I think is next.
couldn't help but admire that character.
It shows you how powerful PTSD is, too. And it shows you how powerful that pain is and how it can lie to you about reality, because you look at Zach's pedigree and you look at his family and everything that they're capable of. I mean, it's in his blood to be a pilot, to shine in the military. And it's not even nepotism. This is genetic. This guy is powerful. And yet Kara has taken on this raiment, this cloak of guilt, this anvil that she's walking around with on her back, and it's not true, and yet she wants it to be true because she misses him so much, and she feels such a powerful sense of responsibility. It tells us so much about PTSD and tells us so much about Kara.
We have to.
Can we get a round of applause for Raquel's mouth?
Yeah, absolutely. But we have to highlight some of these chats because man, the chat's on fire right now. It's a good contributions.
Yeah.
Toxic Man Flu said, "Here's where we see that many on this old ship that was being retired it's where broken warriors were stored by the military."
Oh, what a beautiful thing to say.
That's a good summation.
Yeah.
Dacus says, Colonial News Alert, power is down to the Galacticus heater. We have one child who volunteered for bed warming duty. Be warned, Boxey bites.
Dagger.
And Loki said, Boxey theory. Chief Carroll arrested after a box of Caprica Twinkies found stashed in a Raptor. The streaker continues to assault the crew. Member of the deck gang found beaten. Hashtag feed Boxey. Oh, Raquel, you got to get that one.
I can't.
Africa Twinkies. Oh man.
I can't with Loki.
Yes.
Oh God. Does anybody have anything further to say about this episode? I thought there was a lot of good dynamics between Kara and Admiral or Commander Adama. Finding out what he did. This was the episode where Lee kind of let slip.
Yeah, and that exchange between Adama and Kara was powerful, dude.
That was intense.
Powerful.
God.
Yeah.
Edward James Elmer, man, he's so
turn around and walk out of this cabin while you still can.
I love him. I just absolutely love him. He's just so powerful and wonderful. And look, folks, can I draw your attention to the accentuated caption here? Another great comment from Toxic Man Flu. This episode made me wonder if the human race was going to make it. And, I have to totally agree. Being a writer and studying writing in university and so on and so forth and studying writing theory, I watch a lot of these shows and I can't suspend my belief. I know what's going to happen next. And I don't feel any immediate sense of danger. I don't get an adrenaline kick. I ruin shows for my poor husband, but I have to say, I agree with the panel and with these comments from Toxic Man Flu. I totally felt everything that was going on in the show. Y'all need Jesus. Yes, Parrothead, me too. Parrothead, I love you. Can we just leave that up for any more weird, pervy Boxey theories that I don't like?
Oh God!
Parrothead, you are the man or the woman, whoever you are. I love you. Sticky that there so there are no more weird pedophile crap.
And right on cue, Boxey theory update. Deck Gang member had a Gemini devil dog shoved down his mouth and a Caprica Twinkie wedged into his six. Beat Boxey.
Y'all need Jesus.
Y'all need Jesus.
Y'all need something.
Jesus, take the wheel of this chat. So funny.
Oh God, man! Oh jeez, oh man!
This chat.
Oh, that's great.
For that is my Boxey theory. That one and y'all need Jesus.
Well, welcome, Tommy. I see Best Mod on YouTube. Tommy's in the house. What's up?
Hail, Tommy.
Hail.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next episode, Raquel.
You can't go home again. Episode 5. Starbuck has been shot down and crash lands on a Mars-like moon. She has limited oxygen. Adama, the old man, becomes fixated on finding Kara, despite all the evidence that points to her demise. It's obvious at this point that Kara is more than the old man's best pilot and respected colleague. We think of all their history at this point and how she was going to marry Zach. Kara is a daughter-in-law to Adama, and he won't give up searching for her. Even when forces align to convince him that his love and loyalty are unnecessarily putting the fleet at risk. My favorite moment I noted on this one was when Adama tells Lee, and I quote, "If it were you, we'd never leave." And I have to say that I felt the exact same way. And if it were my daughter, you're damn right I would not leave.
Yeah,
Same thing.
Again, this is where we started to really see that that family dynamic. Oh God, man, the chat again. We're just like rolling here. Tommy says,
"Thank you, Tommy."
Jesus still has some cars. No, let's Jesus. And then Parrothead says, "Wrong, Jesus." Oh, poor misguided Toxic Man Flu. He thought chat was serious.
Just put Parrothead up again. Y'all need Jesus.
Off topic, true story. Ordered Domino's Pizza, got a text. Your delivery driver, Jesus, is on his way. Jeez, man.
So do we have any Boxey theories that are relatively normal?
Tame? No.
Well, just like not weird. Just...
Yeah.
Come on,
they
chat.
started out that way. They started out with like serious, like, I think that he bombed the water storage unit, or he stowed away to the prison ship, and then it
Cake
became.
is Alive is a good one. Adama eats Rocky Road ice cream, another good one. I love the hashtag feed Boxey, although I would add an E to it. And so far, Drew likes Caprica Twinkies.
Mm.
They were good. They were good.
Okay, there's another one. Stone Loki, Boxy Theory, Dr. Baltar found hanging by his feet in his lab, written in lipstick on his chest. Want some candy, bitches?
Oh, yeah!
Streaker fleeing scene.
That's a good one. That's a good one. So Boxy is Chucky, and I love that Loki. That's great. That's great.
Toxic Manflu says, I was so disappointed in Lee's character. What was disappointing about that character to you, Toxic? If you could let us know.
Elaborate.
Yeah, please. In
order to get a normal tier, you need normal people writing it. That's a good point, I think.
That is a good point. You know what? I think what it is normally we have DJ Odyssey here, and he tempers everything with really great dad and grandpa jokes. Do you know what I mean? So he manages to reel people back in.
Yeah, we don't have any Odyssey grandpa jokes today.
Yeah.
I know I'm missing Odyssey.
Yeah, me too. I'm also missing Gaia's Hater.
Honestly, well, I did briefly talk to Script Doctor a couple hours ago because I actually, I checked in with, we were talking with Comics Division because normally on Thursdays I do a stream following this one on Comics Division's channel. And usually Script Doctor and I are both on that one. And we were in a group chat with Comics Division, and Script Doctor says, I'll try and make it if I can stay awake. But I've been getting tired like an old man earlier.
Well, Script's been up. I mean, I think he's, what he's spending his time doing right now is writing. He's a script doctor, so I'm sure he's reading and writing so much right now. He's losing track of hours. That's how I am. Like, I literally just got up an hour ago. I have my days and nights are completely screwed. This quarantine life is just, it's just the
but
isolation.
That's also the writer's life, right? When you get an idea, it can turn into 16 hours in front of the computer, and it's exhausting. We like to tease a Script Doctor around here that whenever he's late or whatever, that he's up to no good with his girlfriend, or up to lots of good with his girlfriend, if you get my meaning. We do respect him, and we do love him, and we do know that he is an author, and authors go through.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And Toxic Man 50 Shades of Boxey. He's a famous artist. Oh, God, man.
What would you do, Raquel, as a writer, what would you do if you were in the Battlestar Galactica universe and trapped on one of those ships? What would you write about?
Probably a lot about the mythos. I think I would write a lot as an agnostic. I think I would probably be writing a lot of things that would get me into a lot of trouble with religious people. I would probably be the Christopher Hitchens. Do you know what I mean? That's me. Like that would be. I would be Christina Hitchens on Battlestar Galactica.
DJ Odyssey was found tied up and babbling about tighty whities after having been the victim of an atomic wedgie and having his Twinkie stolen.
That's a Twinkie you can't get back, DJ.
Toxic.
I like where DJ, where I like this one where Boxey. I like all the theories where Boxey grows up and does terrible things. Let's just talk about him as a grown guy, maybe, if we're gonna make sexual jokes.
Toxic Man Flu about Lee. The conflict inside of him was not believable to me. It seems that it was convenient at times. Okay, fair enough. I can see that. And then immediately following, Palanuki has a Boxey theory. higher ups thinking of spreading the rumor that Cylons are made of Twinkies. Or maybe Hashtag don't feed Boxey.
Okay, that one's getting written down.
Write that one down.
Yeah, that one gets my vote. Don't feed Boxey. Yeah, that's a gooder.
All right. Well, this episode, and Drew brought this up because Drew had that the blog site for Battlestar at the time, and I'm glad he brought this up because this is, I feel, one of the only episodes, well, except for later on in the story concerning Starbuck, where you don't understand exactly where she had been and what had happened, but that's for further on. This is the only episode early on that you really get that Mary Sue feeling. And that comes from her being able to find, repair, and fly a completely unknown vehicle, something she's never touched, the Cylon Raider, something she's never had any contact with in her life, something that would, take a team at least a month or so just to understand the basic mechanics of this ship. And she's down there running out of air and figures it out in 20 minutes.
Yeah, and the flap that looked very vaginal that she put over the hole. And then later on, she doesn't even wear a suit when she's in it, when she has a choice.
Right.
Like, if I have a choice and I'm going to be inside of a Cylon vagina. Right?
Come on, man. Don't ruin my impression of the Cylon Raider.
No, this is true. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to be Tampax,
she entered the birthing canal. She did enter the birth canal.
Just saying. I agree with Steven. Just saying.
Hey, Drew.
Yeah.
You got to admit, that's probably one up from a Razor Clan.
Yeah.
And it wasn't me that did it.
All right, fair. All right.
Oh,
all right.
Remember, I didn't do it this time.
All right. All right. All right. Ding.
Oh, that actually made me cry.
Oh God, man. Thanks. And you can see how we love each other, chat. Yep. Oh, Jesus. So yeah, it's like we were saying though, Stephen. This was really kind of the one and only time that you could make that argument.
Right.
This was kind of the stretch episode for Starbuck. That was a bit of a head scratcher, but
and they needed it to happen. But the time constraint is the thing that I have the problem with. That's the only. And I have very few complaints about the writing in this show, but the pacing and the believability. I understand it's a fantasy sci-fi universe, but the believability of it is just all right. Is she a super genius? Because you would need to be even the smartest person that they have. Admittedly, he doesn't know much about mechanics. Gaius Baltar would have at least had a team and taken weeks before they had figured out how to the basic mechanics.
Innards of a being. So you would just get in and start pulling on organs.
Right.
I think the whole concept could have been rescued because I buy the fact that she was able to detect oxygen using her device.
Right.
It started hissing out. I get it, but repairing the vagina
her leg on top
did not
of
work
that.
for me. And also, I believe that it would have been totally cool if she just would have put the tube in her mouth and found a way to contact Galactica.
Yeah, and also if she ran out of air. When did she have the time to put Starbuck under the wings? It was like there was a few this is the only episode I could. And I'm not trying to pick on it, but the reason that I'm mentioning these things is because the series is so well written. There's very few things to point at and go, okay, that could have been done better. This is just one of them.
Boxey.
And where did she get the paint? I mean, she probably should have used the vagina.
Well, she had the tape from her. They all have a tape, a roll of tape on their suit.
Yeah, they have a roll of tape.
Yeah, but still, I don't know. I don't buy it.
I know. Well, when does she have the time?
Yeah. Right. Anyway, go ahead.
That's a good point.
Yeah, Boxey theory update. Streaker detained and taken to medical. Dr. Cottle believes sugar tainted with Pycon smack. New fleet slogan. Hashtag don't feed Boxey.
Oh boy.
Kalanuki says, yeah, we try to be serious, and she brings Cylon vagina.
right.
I love you, Kalanuki.
Man. Oh God! Shout out to a great B movie, Ticking Clock, MacGruber.
What movie's that from, Drew?
MacGruber. It's a great movie.
Oh,
It is.
Funny.
Yeah, it's funny as hell.
It's a parody on MacGyver.
Speaker for the dead. Memo to self: always use a prophylactic when entering the Cylon, or you can get a computer virus.
Yes! Comment of the night!
Who let you all out to
Well, it certainly wasn't me.
Jesus.
Parrothead, you gotta come back every week, buddy.
Yeah, Parrothead. Love you, man. You have to come back.
Oh man. Colonial News Alert. Child named Boxey believes he is an old Cylon model. Be warned, do not swear around the child, especially if you hear him say, "Buy your man."
That's a gooder.
Anyone have any other thoughts about this episode?
Yeah, anybody else want to?
Adega told Parrothead, the inmates run this asylum.
Yes,
That's right.
Totally true, Loki.
And Tommy says he sounds surprised, and Loki said, "Hell no, I'm an inmate." Oh man, that's great. This chat is just
on fire.
On fire.
So, anybody else?
No, we're good. Let's go to the next episode.
We're on Litmus, episode 6. A male Cylon in humanoid form straps himself in explosive and suicide bombs a busy corridor on Galactica. The president and the old man are now forced into telling the public that the Cylons can replicate the human form. Just as they surmised, and the reason for not revealing it sooner, the public panics and paranoia sets in. If Cylons now look like humans, how do they know who is human and who is a genocidal toaster? And go.
Okay, anybody else want to pick up on that?
No, go ahead, Stephen.
This is the episode where Gaius got accused of treason, isn't it?
No, that's the next one.
That was the next one? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Well written. Again, great episode. It also shows kind of the fracturing in a lot of the different personalities of the fleet, of all the stress that they're under. So another, great exposition of stress within the characters and how they confront that stress.
Mm-hmm. I also thought that it was that they handled the whole idea of terrorism in a very intelligent way. I thought it was thought-provoking, and I think it didn't lead the audience anywhere, but it demonstrated everything to the audience about what the Cylons are willing to leverage to get what they want, and the cost and the toll that it takes on the ship and on people's lives, and even on the Cylons themselves. Because, at this point we know, especially through Boomer, that they have feelings. So,
right.
We call them toasters, but, Sharon later says to us, I feel. So the stakes are very high, and this is an incredibly serious issue. And I love the way that the authors handled it, and the way that the show handled it, in allowing the viewer to view all sides of the issue and then come to their own conclusions, draw their own conclusions, and not pound them with a gavel and didactic, highly controlled, marionetted storyline. I felt very respectful of the audience, and you need that level of respect for such a serious issue.
And this was the first introduction to Leoben, I believe, wasn't it, Drew?
Did we lose Drew and Bear?
We might have. Look, okay, but and also the question was raised. I think it was the question was raised. Is Starbuck going to have to smack a bitch?
Yeah.
And Yeah, great acting and writing between the two characters in this episode. Starbuck was downright scary in this episode.
Yeah.
And I can't think of the actor's name, the actor who played Leoben, just so well done. I've seen him in so many things since then because of his portrayal of Leoben in this series.
He's creepy.
Yeah, he's creepy.
Oh yeah, he's creepy.
Good creepy guy, like great actor.
Yes.
It's like he's like in your head creepy.
Yeah.
Around the same time.
He reminded me of sorry to interrupt you, Stephen. He
You're
reminded
fine.
me of that Ripley's synth. What was his name? When we weren't sure if he had an alien inside of him and he was acting super creepy.
Oh,
That's who
English
this
actor.
guy reminds me of.
Yes. And, it also, like I said, it translates into other things that he did. When I watched The Butterfly Effect and he had that one small side part as the father, I was just like, because of the Leoben character, I knew that character was creepy. Like it transcended into another piece of film. Just
great actor.
Great. Damn, I can't think of his name. Great actor. Yeah.
Yeah, if somebody can grab that from Google, that'd be great. But yeah, what a terrific actor. Shout out to him, and I totally agree. Yeah.
Boomer makes me think of that damn TikTok meme. Oh, the humanity, says Adeka.
Look, hey, she's a beautiful woman. And
Tommy says Skynet's in control. Oh man,
I'll see Grace Park doing the Boomer song. I don't care. She can do that too.
Yeah. Speaker for the Dead said the character's name was Bishop.
Bishop, right.
Yeah, Bishop.
Right. Thank you, Speaker.
Oh, Speaker for the Dead. That is exactly who he reminds me of. It's that same sort of like, it's not direct, but it makes your skin crawl, and he's got that factor. And wow, he just delivers here. It's just so good.
Yeah, it was. Really
and the guy who played Bishop is like a really, really incredible actor. So that's high praise for this actor. And I don't want to detract from either one of them, but wow, great performance here.
Okay, so what do we have next on the docket episode-wise?
6 Degrees of Separation, episode 7. Gaius has a heated argument with number 6. She feels betrayed, and much to Baltar's surprise, 6 shows up on Galactica in the flesh, in the synth toaster flesh. 6 goes to the CIC and says her name is Shelley Godfrey. She tells the old man that she has evidence that proves Gaius Baltar betrayed humanity and is responsible for genocide. Gaius is so utterly floored, utterly astonished. His bewildered look is that of a man questioning his own sanity. My favorite moment from this episode, the look on Gaius's face when he sees 6 and he looks at everyone in the room and goes, "You can see her? You can see her?" He just looks, the actor here just nails it, because you look at him and you're like, you're thinking he's going to snap his crayons, right? Anyway, thoughts, everyone?
Great respect for James Callis, man. You're right, absolutely right. Go ahead,
Parrot Head said that the actor was Lance Henriksen.
Thank you, Parrot Head.
Let's see here. Degas says, Bear, did you sneak off to the prison ship? Why are you so quiet?
No, I'm looking at my notes.
Okay.
Oh, well, go ahead and take this one, Bear. Do you want to have some notes on it?
Yeah.
6 Degrees of Separation.
Seem to be, my notes are all over the freaking place.
All right, well, I mean, I'll fill in silence for a moment. You know what? The James Callis, it's Crypt Doctor hates that guy. Not hate him, but hate the Baltar character. And I have almost the exact opposite. I really enjoy characters. I enjoy redemption arcs is what I do. And although Gaius Baltar through this series does have a redemption arc of sorts, you get to see from his point of view just different perspectives that are ever changing from season to season. To what he's going through, the evolution of his character to where he comes out on the other end, and when he's on the bridge, or the command deck, and he's just talking as if she's not even there until he finally realizes that she's there. Oh my god! And his acting. Look, This man goes into the bathroom because he's under suspicion of being a traitor, and he's in he's in the bathroom talking to somebody through a damn bathroom door while he's trying to take a Duke. And it is one of the funniest. And then he gets into a fight almost with the 6 model. That's all. She comes into the bathroom. That whole bathroom sequence,
great, yeah.
Comedy.
Terrified because like I said, you just think the guy can't take anymore. You fully expect he's just going to snap his crayons when he looks at everyone and says, "You can see her." Like you can actually see her. Like, you have to imagine this is somebody who is actively having sex with her while there are people in the room, and it's unbeknownst to everybody in the room, unless of course he begins to demonstrate.
Now we're on a. By the way, we got derailed onto a nuts angle here.
Did you say notes or nuts?
Did you say notes or nuts? And then Phil Nuki said, "I heard nuts."
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
His nuts are all over the place.
Can we stop discussing bears' nuts? Well, one thing that I also liked was I'm a big fan of Starship Troopers. I'm part of that cult fandom, and one of the things that I liked about that movie was the unisex scenes. Everybody was in the shower together. Like, this is the true across the board equality. That's what it looks like. Everybody's in a group shower, having a shower in the military, and doing all that. And they also show that they have the same kind of the same thing in this universe. There's because men and women are both using the washrooms and together in the bathrooms, and there's no separation between the sexes. You're a human. Everyone's treated as an individual, not as a gender. Again, and that's something that they don't touch on.
Like adults too.
Adults, right? And that's something. It's something that they don't touch on that much in the series because it just is.
New stream title. Nuts in space.
No, I totally agree with you, Stephen, and I love that idea because when I go to Europe and I'm in Greece and I want to go to a nude beach, the last thing on anybody's mind is sex and sexuality. So when I go into science fiction and I go into into this fantasy world, it should, I think, be for grown-ups. I don't want to be treated like a child where men and women are separated. If you really want to move it forward, let's make it real life, right? So I like the handling of that.
So what I get away from you go to nude beaches or go?
No, I'm just saying, like, when you see an 80-year-old man, he's got nothing but the sock hanging out there. An old lady and her breasts look like relaxed trouts. You're not even sex. You're just existing. Sex doesn't always equal intercourse, is what I'm saying. I think someone is grown up enough to not think that sex automatically means intercourse. You can look at another body and admire it without being a horny retard.
Yes, absolutely.
Between you, Raquel, and the chat now, I don't know. I think I might be abstinent forever. Jesus. But Speaker for the Dead said fire and nuts should not appear in the same sentence together. Oh, God. Mr. CCDB, fire roasted nuts. The Toxic Man says, when I'm on the dude beach, the first thing on everyone's mind is their lunch. Is oh, Jesus Christ, man. All right. You guys win. Chat, panel. Oh my God, man. I'm done. I'm abstinent forever. Oh my God.
Bear, did you find any notes on 6 Degrees?
No, I had to tend to my son because basically he brought to me his Transformer that he got for his birthday yesterday.
Nice. Which one?
And his younger brother broke it.
Of course.
Oh no!
And it's the new version of the Soundwave.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Where he transforms into a Mercedes.
Soundwave turns into a Mercedes.
And he broke the roof away from the windshield.
Man.
And so it's like I had all kinds of toys stashed everywhere, and I couldn't remember if I had any
Is
Transformers.
it plastic or die cast?
It's
serious?
plastic.
Are you
Yeah, it's
serious?
plastic.
You were going to dip into your stash to give him a Transformer card? You're such a nice dad.
Well,
Is
basically,
he
he
gonna be
was
okay?
it was for his birthday, and so
Right.
I found one of the stash toys I got from Ben 10, gave him the
Oh,
lion
good.
figure.
No.
Poor little man. I bet you he was crying and he was heartbroken.
He wasn't crying, but he wasn't very happy about it.
Oh, poor little
He,
dude.
he looked like he wanted to give his brother a knuckle sandwich.
Oh boy, a knuckle sandwich. Hope it has
He's definitely a little bear.
Oh man, they fight like typical brothers, man.
All right, Boxey theory. Saltai, found beaten outside his quarters, demands the return of his last box of Toron Star Crunches. blames escaped mental patient and Tidy Whitey's. Sweet slogan rollback. Hashtag feed Boxey.
Yes!
That's so good.
Yeah! Brilliant. It's good.
Toron Star Crunches. Wow. There we go. That's a good one.
All right. Does anyone else have anything further about 6 Degrees of Separation?
Nope. Let's move on to the next one.
Flesh and Bone, folks. Episode 8. A male humanoid Cylon is captured. It claims it planted a nuclear bomb. Starbuck is asked to interrogate it. The interrogation quickly turns into Starbuck and her Marines torturing it.
Damn it, that's right. That was is Starbuck gonna have to slap a bitch episode?
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, that's what I found in the dynamic to this episode, man. The whole interrogation for this it's really tense, and and at the time they were actually covering a huge contentious social issue about the subject of
torture,
waterboarding and torture and whatnot, but.
DJ's here.
Yeah.
DJ's in the house or
and our boy Scotty's here. Hail.
Scott just got here. Yes.
Hail.
But yeah, we got Odyssey in the house now. Oh man, nice.
Okay, back to you, Drew. Please complete your thought.
So I thought that the interrogation in this was just absolutely brilliant, back and forth, and at the end, Starbuck and Leoben seem to reach somewhat of an understanding. Of course, the interrogation isn't necessarily going to the standard that Rosalind wants, or with the expediency that she wants. So she comes over and she sort of wants to meet Leoben for herself. She's been having these visions of Leoben in her dreams and whatnot, and she wants to see what Leoben has to say. Yep. Basically she lets Starbuck know, hey, look, don't lose your objectivity here, and it can't be trusted. So Leoben tries some misdirection, tries to tell her Adama's a Cylon, and she orders Leoben airlocked. And then it all comes together as Leoben is swept away out of the airlock, and then it cuts to her vision. And we also see that at that point, Starbuck has reached an understanding with Leoben, as they definitely have a connection as they press both their hands to the glass as he's sucked out of the airlock.
Well, they're both warriors, and that's what this is getting into. It's getting into the meat of the fact that not everyone can agree on torture. The idea of torture in wartime, especially when people are suicide bombing and things like this, no two opinions are identical, and it makes it very hard on society. It's because people's idea of what is torture and what we need to do to try and get information, it's as individual as a fingerprint. And so this really gets the ball rolling. It gets people questioning these once again, these weighty, really scary issues that not everyone can agree on. And so it plays out in front of you, and it doesn't decide for you. Once again, we see the ultimate respect for the audience by showing it and allowing the audience to decide.
Yep, and we have more Boxey theories. Adega says Boxey theory. Boxey quickly gained popularity as the colony's only cheesemonger. And believe it or not, it was dang good. Someone asked the critical question: where did he get the cream?
That's nasty.
Odyssey's first Boxey theory. The little bugger had me locked up for a while, but I'm here.
That's where you were.
DJ.
Oh,
That was what I already blew my load about about this episode when I mistook it before. Sorry about that,
That's where
chat.
the cream came from.
That's where it came from.
Yeah, Odyssey said he had to blackmail Boxey because he knows where he gets the cream.
But again, you also see, and speaking about the different perspectives on torture, you get to see how Adama approaches the situation, and the president, and how the final solution to what was going on when Rosalind came in. Another great actress, Mary McConnell. Who I mean, we were talking earlier about the strength of different women characters in this show, and she's wisdom. She is the strength of wisdom and diplomacy, and she, just wonderfully acted. Well done. Well. Everything. I love this show so much. All right, go ahead. Boxey theories. I know.
Yep.
I
love you, Steven.
Boxey theory update. Young man in tidy whities, maybe time traveler, says expert Dr. Baltar. As he was hanging me up, he said, "Say my name," and then screamed, "I am the one who knocks, bitch." Hashtag feedback.
Poor Boxey's hungry.
Oh God.
Does anyone else have any thoughts on this episode?
Yeah.
No, I mean that's pretty much, we hit the crux of it. So go ahead, Raquel. Go on.
Now we arrive at one of my favorite episodes, because this is when we finally see something in the show that is a rapid departure, but it is very strongly executed, and I think welcomed by most of the viewership who are intensely watching the show. And that is a little bit of comic relief. We're at Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down, and Ty spelled Colonel Ty's way. So episode 9. Impregnated by the idea that Adama might be a Cylon, thanks to the male humanoid Cylon they captured in the last episode, the president takes the bait and becomes suspicious of the old man. To everyone's shock and surprise, Colonel Ty's wife shows up, previously assumed dead. She shows up out of nowhere, and apparently she was hiding in the fleet, or was in the fleet, and presents herself as though everything is fine and dandy. Everyone suspects she's a Cylon. Mm-hmm. For this episode, I have to say I marked on here, my favorite moment was the dinner party. Finally, we see some comedy on the show, and it's unexpected, and it's very well done. Ellen proceeds to insult everyone at the table, and he foot rapes Lee, and it's comedy gold.
Yes, she is chaos. She is the introduction of chaos.
She is.
She's that. Her character just comes in and just takes over the show for one episode. Yeah. And it's also introspective into Ty's character, the woman that he married. And, just seeing the dynamics between bringing her into the situation between him and his best friend, the commander, and also Lee's expression, because he knows this person. Obviously, it's his dad's best friend's wife. It's definitely a comedy episode, and really makes you hate Ellen. Did anybody like Ellen?
Yeah, chat. Did anyone like Ellen?
Nope.
Oh, panel. Yes. Bear.
What did you think? What do you think, Bear? What did you think of Ellen?
It was really hard to get past the packaging, because what was in the packaging was just like spoiled rotten.
Damn.
Well, that's what I saw.
What about you, Drew?
Maybe she was also abusive in a way.
Oh, dang.
Scheming and conniving.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like
Absolutely.
she is morally vacant. She's morally bankrupt. She's a terrible human. This is why Stephen said earlier, you know, she represents chaos, and she is total chaos. She doesn't give a flying frack about anything. She foot raped Lee, like full on.
Full on.
Yeah, there was a big old footsie scene in there. I was like, damn.
Yeah, and what size are her feet? 10?
Yeah, but yeah, you know,
very nimble toes.
That was just it was a good episode for levity. You know, there was definitely some cool stuff in there, and it really did some interesting. It gave you an interesting introduction to Ellen and what
beautiful actress too.
Yeah, I mean, gorgeous.
Yeah,
and plays a wonderful evil lady. Like the more you know. I hope everyone at home realizes that the more you loathe an evil character, the better.
Well, yeah, the actor, right? It's like, you know, and I pointed out this you know, when we were actually doing the review for that, and it was the fact that, you know, it's similar to when you watch WWE and you see like a good heel, when you see a good bad guy,
right? Yeah, she creates heat in that show,
and she gets heat naturally because you know, she can play such a convincing unlikable woman, and it's just, you know, it was absolutely 100% good performance,
and a sexual being who isn't a 19-year-old Mary Sue. We have a woman where. Yeah, you know, men, even young men, look at her and go, "Wow, she's hot. She is fire." But I would tap that.
And you can see, you get to see the dynamic that, you know, she is, at least early on, she's about power and clout.
Yeah,
you know, and so you can definitely see, you know, that she works it to her advantage. And it's an interesting insight because it sets up a lot of things for later down the road that you find out about Ellen. So
she is that dangerous party girl, you know.
She's beautiful.
She's beautiful.
And the thing I love about her, Stephen, is she isn't apologetic. She's not even slightly apologetic about it. She's a sexual being and does not give a flying frack.
I love that. I mean, I question who she throws that at, you know, the dinner party and everything. But I love that. I love that kind of charisma, sexual charisma in a woman.
She doesn't really throw so much as she kicks.
Woo, man.
Hey, Drew, before we do that one, can we just go up two more to Toxic Man Flu? He says foot rape. Show ends. Here we go.
Okay, Toxic Man Flu says, foot rape. Show ends episode 10 due to a spread of athletes put throughout the fleet because Boxey has all the talent. Oh, God. That's a good. Keep that. Yes, get that one.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Loki's got one underneath.
All right. So Stone Loki says, Boxey theory update. Lieutenant Thrace comments, it's not a time traveler. Gaius is just a bitch. Colonel Ty also comments, we will get this punk. He's in the fracking ship. Hashtag save Boxey.
Very funny. Very funny.
Oh, God, man. Now, oh, jeez, oh, man.
But if you're a modern screenwriter, if you're a modern film writer, if you're a modern television writer, and you want to show us a strong woman who is dynamic and different and can be evil, but is sly and intelligent and isn't obviously a male character with just a paper doll slap of female on top, look to this character. A
character that understands her strengths, plays to those strengths, and is very proficient in with her strengths, especially in, like as Raquel said, sly. You know, she's socially very intelligent. She understands manipulation. She understands how inference and the power of rumor and the power of speculation, and she uses that to her advantage.
And not acting like a man. She doesn't have to pound on a desk and say, shut the frack up. She doesn't do that to Adama. She doesn't claim her power that way. She has other ways. She's a social climber. She manipulates people. She's evil. Write dynamic
Mhm.
characters. Stop writing for us like we're 5 years old. We're
Right.
not 5 years old.
All right, so we can we pretty much I think summed that one up pretty good. Let's move on to the next episode, and while we're doing that, Boxey Theory from DJ Odyssey. After spending all night doing Alton's laundry to get the cream for the cheese, he found a much easier way of getting his cream. Daggett Milky.
Oh, gross, but funny.
Oh, God.
That's really gross. But
Daggett
God.
has teats?
yes, like a goat.
God.
You know, DJ's always got the great.
Oh, God.
All right. Next episode.
I hope we didn't scare Christy away with this twisted craziness. Although Christy's known for some twisted
Christy hangs out in enough chats. Look, Christy right now is pitching the Tiger King. She can handle it.
Yeah, exactly.
He probably
Exactly.
just stepped out for a whiskey. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Christine will be back.
Yeah.
All right, so we're on episode 10, folks. Dun, dun, dun. The Hand of God.
Yo, Curtis, welcome. Hail, buddy.
Hail, brother.
Oh, yeah. Hi. Okay, so the fleet is out of fuel. It forces the fleet to search for Tillium. They find out they need more on an asteroid that the Cylons have already built a Tillium mining base on.
Uh-huh.
And that is my teaser for that one. So go.
Well, this was one of my favorite episodes of the season. You know, I'm gonna probably start this train a little early, but you know, this one, I think this one, 33, and probably the finale, Cobalt's Last Gleaming, part 1 and part 2 were my favorites of the season, and I enjoyed this one because it was very, again, this one had a nice little some spots where there was some nice homages to the original series Galactica episode, The Hand of God, especially with them attacking, you know, a big going on the offensive and attacking the Cylons, which was one homage. And then, you know, Lee having the other attack force of Vipers in the supply ship. I thought that was really cool, and the whole use of the metaphor and going along with you know, the Pythia prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
For this, I thought this was really well put together. Yeah. And again, this is an episode where Lee shined really well. You got to see him as you know, an ace pilot, and there was that great scene between he and his father where you know, his dad reassured him that, you know, indeed, while people may think Starbuck is the best of the best, you know, he believes in Lee because that's his son. Mm-hmm. And you know, and I found that very good. Mm-hmm. And yeah, this episode just knocked it out of the park for me. Yeah. I loved this one. This is one of my favorites of the entire run of the Reimagined series.
Yeah, I just I couldn't agree more. I think that the relationship between Adama and his son is so compelling and such a wonderful exemplification of the way that males can be together, and certainly the way that a parent should treat their child, and definitely the way that a father treats his son. It is just absolutely so wonderful and so heartwarming. I also really love the fact that this is when we really start to see this strong literary quality in this program again, and we're seeing the education of the authors on display. Once again, we see this nod to the classics, these themes, these powerful themes and allusions that they use, and we're right back to this golden age where we have this pantheon of gods, and people believe in these gods, and then we have this this dawn of a new age where we're going to go to monotheism, and the Cylons believe in this monotheism. So we see this very, very strong and educated literary quality in the script writing here, and I think it's astonishing and just wonderful. I just absolutely love it. I can't get enough of it. It's as though you're messing around with the Iliad at the same time as you're messing around with Asimov. It's just really, really terrific.
Yeah,
I've read the Iliad.
Yeah.
Yes,
Nice.
It's a great book. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Toxic Man Flu said that is when I liked the Lee character, when he was kicking butt and making the excruciating decisions.
Yeah.
Mr. CCDB said this shows Lee is a real leader, and I think you hit that on the head, both of you guys, Toxic and CC, because look, you can clearly see when they're going on their attack runs at the beginning, which, by the way, there was a nice homage to Star Wars, in case you guys missed it there. That was very reminiscent of the trench run from New Hope. But going back to what I was saying, though, it does show him as a leader because of the fact that, two pilots get shot down right off the rip. And he knows he's losing people. He has Cat break off, and he decides to take a gamble and hit the mining tunnel himself. He goes in solo. And, because he's bound and determined there's not going to be any more casualties today. So I think that it was a hell of a decision. Hell of a risk, but a hell of a decision.
And also bringing up the trench run, absolutely, because the original was inspired by Star Wars. Yeah. So, there's kind of a callback to the inspirations that Glenn Moore presented originally, Yeah.
Yeah,
Did I say Glenn Moore? I'm sorry.
I love it because I get to cheer Boy Scout no more. We finally see him break free of of those shackles and do something really out of the ordinary. And I love right at the point where he's about to lose it all, he steadies himself, he steels himself, and says, "Lee, you got this. You could do this." And he's ready to give his life and to make this happen. And he's ready to be wrong. I think that's key in shaking off the shackles of this Boy Scout image.
Well, it was
ready to be wrong.
And it was also because of the inspiration that he got from Kara. We know that talk that she had with him about, I'm worried that you can't make, the radical decision, or you can't think outside of the box. That's what I'm worried about, because you're so by the numbers. And that showed that Lee does have that ability. And I think the influence for that decision came from his friendship with Kara.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just funny. Parrothead says it's the age of Aquarius, and Palanuki said, "I'm an Aquarius. My age has come. I'll catch Boxey." but Toxic also makes a good point here. I see Lee at a top 0.5% pilot, and he is, he is with the Galactica out of loyalty to his father. Good episode.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, wasn't he stationed on another ship, and he was coming to see his father before they decommissioned the Galactica, right?
Yeah. And and then of course he wound up staying, and the rest is history. But this is just it was a really awesome episode.
It really was.
Liked it. And
we needed a win. You know what I mean? Like you got all these episodes. I'm sorry, Drew. Real quick, you got all these episodes where they're losing, right? Trying to deal with adversity, just over and over and over again, and then we got a win, and it was great to feel good about them achieving something, them achieving a goal, and that's what I like the most about it. Right, that's what I like the most about the episode, aside from Lee's trench run.
Yeah. Could you say that again, Bear? I didn't hear what you said, your last comment.
They actually caught a break.
Right.
Yeah.
They could actually have a breath. Yeah. Maybe enjoy a cup of coffee for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Drew. I didn't mean to cut you off, brother. What were you saying?
Oh, no, that's fine. I mean, I think I just wanted to get Bear's take before we move on to the next one. And Raquel, you can take us into the next one. It should be episode 11.
Insert us into the next episode.
Yeah, we're insertion coming. In 3,
Well, yeah,
1.
natural
Okay,
progression.
Colonial Day, episode 11. The president, looking to exemplify true democracy, rebuilds the quorum of 12 to establish a legislative branch of government. Much to Rosalind's chagrin, Tom Zarek is elected to represent his people. He immediately asks the quorum to demand a vice president and simultaneously throws his hat in the ring to be VP.
Yes. Great seeing. Again, great seeing him. But what I took away from it, and this comes into further down the line, is that they're still clinging to the colonial thought process. The 12 colonies, they're still clinging to that, and it's everything's changed now. They're and I know it's in a couple seasons. I don't mean to jump ahead, but there's a statement that Gaius makes about we're no longer Taurans. We're no longer, these people. We are Galacticans, and we are, people from different ships. They've basically creating their own culture and, their own systems, social systems. So yeah, that's what I took away from this episode. It made me think ahead.
Yeah. And it made me trust Rosalind's judgment. I suddenly start to think, okay, well, this president, it just wasn't, put into this position because somebody else died. Now she's actually going to take the risk and see if people will actually support her decisions. So I think that's good. And I also have to say that I physically noticed and emotionally noticed that I think that Hatch really enjoyed playing a bad guy this time around. Like before he was like the consummate good guy and we were so in love with him and he was good looking and all the girls loved him but now we see him really truly enjoying getting under somebody's skin and enjoying that role, and he played it so well, and I truly enjoyed his performance here. He's nasty, he's unctuous, he's greasy, and he's annoying, and I thought his performance was rad.
I think Hatch really enjoyed this because he was involved to a degree. I mean, more so late in the later seasons, but I think he really just enjoyed seeing the Battlestar legacy go on. And I think he enjoed this cast, and really he brought his all, just like all the veterans. He brought everything to the role.
One thing that he admitted too is he got to kind of get those extra seasons and live vicariously through this show that they weren't able to get in the original show. So he really, I know that he really enjoyed that as well, because the material was so good, because the show was so good, and he got to have a good deep run with the show.
Deep. And, speaking of deep, Tommy says, make that insertion sloppy, and DJ Odyssey said it's sloppy when Ellen is involved.
Oh, that's so mean. That's so funny.
I'm sorry, I had to, Joe. Go ahead, buddy.
Loki came up with a Boxey theory. Colonial news crew taken hostage. Their replacements Drew, Raquel, Bear, and Steven to broadcast the standoff live.
That's great.
What you forgot was I was taking side bets.
Odyssey said Raquel just described me.
Oh, no. We love you, DJ. Don't say that. You're not unctuous. Are you greasy? Are you greasy? No, I don't think so. I think the last time I watched your channel, you were in a unicorn suit.
Oh, no.
What?
Yay! By the way, DJ Odyssey has a channel. Go to it because he's funny and sweet.
Yes, DJ's great. If I can plug him real quick, I do
drop Odyssey's link in the chat. That'd be
great.
Thank
you. Yeah,
DJ always has a great panel on. It is. I frequent TFM. I'm the historian and all, but I love going to DJ and listening to his group of panelists because they're from all across the fandoms. There are people that like certain things and don't like certain things. I love hearing all the views and the banter on that show. So please check out DJ Odyssey. It's a great channel, great panelists on there.
Yeah,
Tail indeed.
Yeah,
exactly. I just got my hair kind of colored, and now I have a mini mullet.
Oh man.
Oh boy, DJ. Tommy,
really?
Oh man, Tommy just.
Tommy, let's keep it PG, dude. Innuendo, but no direct.
Oh, Tommy's direct.
Oh yeah.
Tommy will stand behind you lovingly and hold you and insert himself into the situation and thrust his views into whatever medium he chooses to focus on. No issue is too large, no hole is too deep.
All right, Boxey Theory update. News crew on hunger strike makes statement. To hell with that little bastard. He ate all the food.
All the food.
Hashtag don't feed Boxey.
That's great.
All right. Hold on here. We're gonna actually do something. We're gonna pull in DJ Odyssey for a minute since we got room.
Oh, good.
And
throwing out to Adega if he's still around.
I have no idea.
Adega's out there. He's our doctor.
He
when he grabs you and says cough, it may be professional. It may not.
Actually, Adega wished everybody a good night. He said,
"Oh, yeah, they're going to bed."
He sent me a DM. He said he has to sign off, not feeling too well. He said, "Don't worry, it's not COVID." He said, "He said the cancer is talking."
Oh no!
Oh no! I didn't know.
Yeah.
Adega, we're the whole panel, on behalf of the whole panel, we're sending you our best. Thank you for coming tonight. Get some rest, and we're thinking of you.
Say we all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Indeed.
So
hope we provided a little bit of comic relief and a little bit of an escape for you, and keep in touch. And we're rooting for you, Adega.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, we love you, Adega. You know it, buddy. All right. So links out to Mr. Odyssey there, and yeah, I've known for some time about Adega's condition. He doesn't share it around. Adega's the type, he just wants to hang out, have a good time, and do his thing. So that's what we do. But yeah, Adega's done a lot of awesome stuff. And by the way, folks, Adega does have a book, so make sure that you look for
what's up, Curtis?
Adega's book.
Mm-hmm.
So, and speaking of the man, there's DJ Odyssey.
Oh, DJ!
We got a face and everything.
You actually have a mullet. Turn to the side, baby. Oh, honey, you got to join a hockey team. You got to join the beer league,
it's getting there.
Professional
and I even went
party.
blonde.
Yeah, looking good.
Yeah,
I'm blonde now.
Yeah.
How the hell did you get? Trimmed up in an apocalypse?
Well, see, that girlfriend of mine that's a nurse, she used to be a beautician too.
Oh,
Damn.
nice.
Damn.
So I got the best of both worlds.
Oh, good.
Well, yeah, she can play nurse and grab him and have you cough.
Tommy said it's Joe Dirt in 20 years.
Where's that? Oh, God, Tommy.
Wait a minute. Continue before I come back. Just continue.
Who is that? Who's his avatar? He's very dashing, isn't he?
Looks like Vincent Price.
Yeah,
that does look like a young Vincent
What's up,
Price.
Tommy?
Hey,
what's up, Thomas? How you doing?
Milky, what's going on, buddy?
Hail the Gilk Man.
Yeah. So yeah, we're the
That's
chat
not
is
Vincent
banging
Price.
tonight, guys.
That's the original
Big
OG master from Doctor Who.
Oh, I thought
Is that who that is?
Ah,
Thank you, sir.
very, very dashing.
Boxey Theory final update. News crew receives tainted MREs. 5 streakers take over the Galactica CIP. Make new heading for Pleasure Planet Risa. We don't need stinking Earth.
Yeah, well, if I could go to Risa or Earth, I'm going to Risa. Especially if they don't have,
I would live on Risa.
the vid. They don't have the vid on
Dude,
Risa.
Raquel, I would live on Risa. that would be my life.
Yeah.
Forget the universe.
Okay. Here's the final look of the night.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That was
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shitter's full.
All right. Hey, Odyssey. Before you go, you have to discuss because you're the spokesperson for all the Boxey theory makers out there. So
I can't be the spokesperson because Aldega does it just as well, if not better than me. And the rest are coming along great. So just keep coming to the show, folks, and watch the chat for all our crazy commentary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, any thoughts on season 1, Odyssey? Now that we're through season 1.
Did we get to the end already? I thought we had a few more.
No, we got a few more episodes, but I mean, as far as being technically through season 1, we're through season 1.
Got you.
Technically, they're doing a great job, folks. And there's nothing I can really say because they've said it all. They've got it down. And just make sure you come around for season 2.
Yes.
Yep. Season 2 next week. We start with season 2, episode 1.
I can't wait.
Yeah, for sure.
And Old Man Boxey is out of here.
Oh, man. See, Odyssey's really boxing.
Oh, he came, he saw, he went, folks.
Yep.
That's
Oh man.
I love you.
Good God. All right. So let's move on to the next episode.
Let's do it.
Okay, Cobalt's Last Gleaming, part 1. Galactica accidentally finds Cobalt, the birthplace of mankind, where men walked and lived among gods. Again, playing with this Greek mythology. It is said to be where all 13 tribes came from. It is also the key point in finding Earth. The president convinces Kara to disobey Adama's orders and take a captured Cylon raider back to Caprica to retrieve the Arrow of Apollo to reveal the path to Earth hidden on Cobalt. And of course, once again, we have Kara not wearing her Cylon raider prophylactic. And it's a shame.
Her body condom.
Yes, because it's just wrong. So and go Boxey theories and comments.
Oh no, I thought this was a great setup for the rest of the finale. I really liked the tense sort of standoff where Starbuck jumped away at the end. It was all very interesting, and then of course we have the high drama of the Raptors making their way to Colonial 1 to arrest the president because she basically defied Adama, and he was not down with that, so they were gonna attempt to basically overthrow the presidency at that point. So a lot of moving parts on this. And of course, we also have the cliffhanger of, the Raptor survey team and jump to Cobalt. And you see the Raptors get ambushed, and the Raptor that Gaius and the Chief and those guys are on go down. So a lot of stuff is setting up for part 2. So I thought this was a great setup episode. Great action, great pacing. And we can go right into part 2. And I think that's where it really ramps up.
Yeah.
Later on, Loki.
I really
have a good night.
Take
Good night,
care.
Loki. Thank you for coming, brother.
Yeah, I really love this episode. I thought this episode was amazing, and I really loved that Gaius also got left hanging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. A lot of talk of blue balls that evening. Yeah. Just looking back on my notes, pretty funny.
Listen.
Yeah, so if
Cara Thrace is a boss. She will take it and leave it.
Yeah. Does anybody have any other comments? Stephen and I sort of renamed this episode Power and Pugilism.
Yes.
It was a super intense, episode that had a lot of rapid shifting between scenes and between characters, and it was deadly. So if anybody has any comments, please make them now, and also Boxey theories.
Anybody want to take? Bear, you want to take that?
What's the next Boxey theory? What we got?
It's more important. The Boxey theories are more important than the show at this point. That's where we have gotten.
No, I think we're good. And we pretty much, like I said, I think we summed it up because this was a good sort of gateway into part 2, and the action. It really sets up the cliffhanger well, and the action ramps up in part 2 is where you get all the good payoffs and everything. So while now that we're saying that, let's segue into part 2, Raquel.
All right,
let's do it. Cobalt's Last Game, Gleaming part 2. Shocked and devastated by the president's personal and professional betrayal to undermine his command and his orders, and her actions that endangered the fleet, the old man orders Rosalind arrested and terminates her presidency. Meanwhile, back on Caprica, Kara finds the arrow of Apollo, and Six is waiting for her. I noted my favorite moment from this is when we are asked if Adama can survive 2 slugs. And I think it's a very powerful moment because, it's just what a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, God, what can you say about Cobalt's Last Gleaming Part 2? It was so good. I thought Part 1 did such a good job setting this up, and Part 2 just absolutely delivered. I mean, it was like chef's kiss good. I mean, folks, the best cat fight you will ever see women in sci-fi happens in this episode.
Yep.
Okay,
You guys know what my favorite scene is?
Starbuck versus Caprica 6 is legend. That's all I got to say. It's legend. It's great, and that's one of the best moments of this episode. You've got the crashed Raptor and all the drama that goes with that. But the biggest thing is, I think, you get to see when Adama sends Sharon and Racetrack on the mission to Base Star to set the nuke.
Yep.
You get to really see some interesting dynamics. And I mean, you get 2 jaw droppers in this episode. You get confirmation, because they've sort of shown it, but you really get full on confirmation that Sharon's indeed a Cylon without a doubt. Even if you kind of know that, but you get the visual confirmation with a lot of naked Sharon. So
lots of naked Sharon.
But but I really enjoyed that. There's also a beautiful interior shot for those of you that enjoy your starship porn. You get to see the inside of the Cylon base ship, and that is really, really, God, that's a gorgeous shot.
And that's such a gorgeous shot. To see all those different Sharons, the Sharon models.
Oh yeah.
Well, I
mean, it was ominous. Real quick, it was ominous. The entire scene, seeing the cross between the technology and the organic technology, within the womb of the battle of the Base Star, and also seeing all just the realization that there are so many different models. When Sharon encounters all those different naked Sharons, it was very ominous. I really enjoyed that scene, getting a look inside the Base Star and getting an idea of just the scope of how many different copies of these models there are.
Mm-hmm. I also found it really creepy that she, when the Sharons started to speak in unison, this whole idea that the author is trying to shape out on your mind to humanize these creatures, it all falls apart there, because then all of a sudden they seem very mechanical, and then you realize what they could do to humanity. They are in great numbers, they're single-minded, and so I think it's a delicate and really cool process to get us to sympathize with them in one breath and then be terrified of them in the next. And it was very Invasion of the Body Snatchers when the group of naked Sharons encircle her and go, "Sharon, you are one of us. You can't escape us.
We love you, Sharon.
We love you, Sharon. Sharon's.
Yep.
What I liked about that particular scene is as they went in the ship with the wide angle, how they showed all the detail of the very much organic looking hangar where all the ships were pulling in and docking.
Yeah.
And it had reminded me of the inside of Idris' ship.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's what I thought too, Bear.
Yeah.
Spot on. All right, Boxey theory. Boxey secretly filmed the cat fight. Unfortunately, all extra footage was lost when someone used the tape to record an episode of Tiger.
Everybody's watching this show. I have not watched this show this time.
You've got to watch it, Raquel. It's white trash heaven. It's great. And it's really intriguing. It is intriguing.
I just saw the lead tile on Netflix, and I was like, yeah, no, that's insane.
Yeah.
Where's Carol's husband? That's all I want to know.
Well, the thing is with the rest of this episode too, I thought it was fascinating because you got to really see development out of Lee, because again, Lee makes a moral decision above his military orders, and I thought that was very interesting because he decided at the last second to basically forcibly tell the team that was going to arrest the president to stand down and go back to Galactica.
Yeah.
And Lee pulls his pistol on Colonel Ty.
Yeah.
And he's standing there, and Lee said, he's standing up for what he feels is right. Yep. And you get to see that really good, that conscious side of him.
Yeah.
That said, I'm going to stick with what I believe is right with my principles, come hell or high water.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was a very, jarring piece of character development that I thought was fantastic. But the biggest thing I think that nobody saw coming, and I remember when this originally happened, my jaw hit the floor, like as Boomer's coming back from her mission from the base star and her just walking in the CIC triumphantly. You think like she's gonna high five and congratulate celebrate with the rest of the crew, and then she gets to Adama. He extends his hand like he's going to shake hands with her, and then boom, 2 in the chest, and then she gets tackled to the ground, and it just fades out on that cliffhanger amidst all the chaos, and you're just like, what?
Talk about a mind blower.
And there's some really nice filmmaking going on here too, because this all happens in a rapid sequence.
Yeah.
Where Gaius is told by Six that he is the guardian and protector of God's new children. So there's this whole idea of the fact that Adama is being sacrificed on an altar and stuff. It's incredibly powerful. It's this rapid fire terrorizing. You're wondering what's going to happen, and then she lands 2 slugs and the old man, and it just leaves you completely devastated. It's also a masterstroke in how it plays out, and it intensifies the feeling, and it intensifies your feelings for all of the people involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely awesome storytelling in this episode. It was top notch. Again, chef's kiss all the way across. Yeah. Brilliant episode and a brilliant close to the season. And we get to go right into next season as we pick right up where this leaves off, and you get to see the chaos in the wake of this, and it makes it so much better. So all in all, overview of the season. It's like I said before, this episode, the episode before it, The Hand of God, and probably 33, my 4 favorites. Great season to start off the show. Yeah. So that's my final 2 cents. So Raquel, go ahead.
I actually totally agree with you. You and I are of one mind on many of our favorites. And yeah, I'm going to say 33 was my ultimate favorite. Next in line, I'm going to say The Hand of God. This is where I feel this beautiful literary and highly intellectual, cerebral quality comes into the writing, and I love it. I just absolutely love it. I love being treated like an adult when I'm watching TV. And then, yeah, Cobalt's Last Gleaming 1 and Cobalt's Last Gleaming 2. Those are my 4 favorites, and I give them 10 out of 10. I love this series. I love the writing. I love the attention to detail. I love everything about it. Quality, popcorn, chef's kiss.
Mm-hmm. Stephen, your final thoughts on season 1?
I have a few notes, a few things that we didn't really have time to touch on. First off, you don't need a virtue signal to insert a character that is different or a minority or anything like that. With being overt, subtlety means everything. If you didn't catch that Gaeta was gay in this first season, you will later, but they don't virtue signal it. They have a gay character. You might not even realize he was gay until like toward the very end of his character arc, but there's definitely hints. And that's a sign of good writing. You don't have to hit people over the head with a different type of character.
Good point.
And you can present it in a way that you can pick up the crumbs. You can see the clues to who a character is. Great character, great supporting character in Gaeta. Callie, not much of Callie in season 1, but you learn not to underestimate her. It's another, kind of a mousy character who does stand up for her friends and her beliefs. You see this in the bridge crew. You see this in the deck crew, along with Chief Tyrrell, who shows how much these people look at him as a leader and how much they love him. And you finally see that hidden leader within him start to shine in the second part of the season finale. Great side character. Also, the way that Chief dealt with Sharon. And I'd like to give a shout out to Grace Park, because she played 2 characters steadily in this series and did them both wonderfully. That talented actress. I'll watch anything Grace Park does. She pulled off both the character who was programmed, who's like a secret agent, having to deal with that conflict, going through with Chief Tyrrell, everything at the beginning of the season where she's obviously the saboteur and they are in a relationship, but the relationship dynamics of that, how that adds to her breaking down the barriers of the walls between her conditioning and who she's been programmed to be or think that she is, all the way up until at the end of the season, until she finally sees these other Sharons and has to realize it. Also, her character Athena on Caprica, where you've got Hilo, who's been separated from everyone, basically traveling through the underworld. What used to be paradise, which has now been turned into hell, and he's traveling through this hell with basically a demon in Athena. Who has a redemption arc of sorts, has led through and out of the underworld with Athena. Just great shout outs to both of those actors. There was a great B plot that lasted the entire season. It meant a lot all the way up to the acquiring of the Arrow of Apollo. Just wonderful. Also, Dwala and Billy, innocence. They project innocence throughout this entire series from 2 perspectives, the political and the military. And them coming together, the conversations that they have and the perspectives that they have are very important in showing that, everything is not this stringent outlook, that you have people who have, who are growing into this world, who came from, or come from a perspective of innocence. So I love those characters. This whole season is wonderful. It's great writing. I can't necessarily pick out one episode that I love more than any else, but one thing that I do really enjoy in a more base aspect of myself is the sexiness, the sexuality, the sensuality of this in this season. It goes as far as network TV will allow, and it's done in such a way that I hate to say it, but even though you don't see nipples. It's sexy. It is a sexy, well-written show that understands its audience, understands the mechanics of the human emotions, human relationships, and is able to lift you out of your seat and place you within this universe because of the understanding, the writing, and the forethought that goes into each and every one of these characters and how they are built.
What beautiful comments, so articulate and so beautifully said.
You nailed it, brother.
I cannot say enough how much I enjoy sharing this kind of thing with you. Whenever I'm with you, Stephen, I always feel like I'm in a book club, and you always rise to the occasion, being so thoughtful, and your attention for detail is something that I care very much for, and of course I admire it. I also really appreciate your comments on what it's like to be gay, and that gay isn't a character. I have a lot of friends who are gay, and I can definitely tell you they're all different people.
Mm-hmm.
They're all beautiful and unique people, and they're not comic book characters. And what I really appreciate about this is that they respect Gaeta, and that Gaeta is a human being first, and we get to learn about him as a human being, and I think that that's really important. So I could definitely tell you that your comments are very, very much appreciated.
Yeah, and we get to see a lot of development with Gaeta down the road too, so that's awesome.
Well, I love the more involvement with the Gaeta character. He's actually one of my favorite side characters or supporting characters in this series.
Yeah.
So, Bear, any quick thoughts on season 1 as a whole?
Well, man, it just makes popcorn all that much more enjoyable.
Right.
I mean, it's a good show to watch and have your popcorn because it just makes popcorn taste that much better.
All right. Well, that wraps up our look and our overview at season 1 chat. I hope that you enjoyed our time together this evening. Of course, again, I want to thank the panel. Shout out to our buddy Brian, who couldn't be here. Shout out to the Script Doctor, who, I have a sneaking suspicion that the poor man is just so tired he passed out a couple hours ago. But shout out to SD. And, obviously I can't say, any more glowing things about the panel because, I mean, this is family and they do it. They do this show to an awesome level, and Raquel, Stephen, and Baird, they all enjoy it, and we all enjoy entertaining you. So make sure that you guys come back in the following weeks. We're going to enjoy our journey together through season 2, and your homework, if you choose to accept it, is to catch up with us. So we can all watch season 2, episode 1 next week, and we can all talk about it. So make sure that you're all caught up. Binge watch season 1 over the weekend if you get a chance. Sci-fi.com. You can catch all the Battlestar stuff there. It's all up on sci-fi.com. So you can watch every single episode, every single season.
Drew, can I interrupt you for 2 seconds?
Yeah.
Can I please just remind you that I would like to do an honorable mention for the best Boxey theories. So before we cut out, make sure we do that.
Okay, no problem. I'm gonna let you unveil the best Boxey theory. Go right ahead. But I just want to again, say thank you to the panel and thank you to you guys to chat. Without you guys, we don't have this great stream. So I honestly,
hail to the chat.
From the bottom of my heart, chat, we love you guys. So
say we all.
Say we all.
So say we all. So
Take care, everybody.
without further ado, Raquel, before we go ahead and drop you our favorite Boxey.
So based on the laughs and based on when Drew told me to write it down, there are some standout Boxey theories, and we would like to give some honorable mentions for the following phrases. Boxey is Chucky. Cake is a lie. Adama eats Rocky Road. Feed Boxey. Don't feed Boxey. Galen Tyrell and Caprica Twinkies. And that's all we have for you folks.
And Toron Star Crunches.
And Toron Star Crunches.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
And special shout out to Adega. Through Boxey, I gain strength. Through Boxey's strength, I gain power. Through Boxey's power, I gain victory. Through victory, my balls are broken. The bang front kicked me in the nuts.
Oh God, yeah.
Do you have any?
I love this chat, and keep the Boxey theories coming for next week. Big shout out to my coworker from Bounding Into Comics, Dollified, aka Donald Edmonds. Make sure that you check out his YouTube channel and check us both out on boundingintocomics.com. I, of course, also write for Bounding Into Comics, and we will be launching my new website, sickestofall.com. That'll be coming soon, within the next 11 days or so. I'm going to launch it officially on 4/20 of 2020, and also besides that, you can obviously catch me every Thursday on this channel for your favorite Pegasus Actual podcast. So that being said, everyone have a good night. We love you. Talk to you soon.
Good night.
So
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night.